Before getting into the demonstration of making tables in Moodle and Google Docs, be aware that tables are one of the more difficult items to make accessible. Sometimes determining another way to present the same information can sidestep this issue. If neither that approach nor this video help, please reach out to the Office of Online and Distance Learning so that we can better assist. The table creating tool in Moodle is very basic because accessible tables are basic. This means you cannot create split columns or rows and no cells can be embedded into other cells. To make a table, start by expanding the text editing ribbon. Next, click on the Table tool. This opens a dialog box that asks for some details about the table. My table is going to be a rubric for an assignment, so I will use the caption option to insert the name of the table. Based on my plan, I will need header labels on both columns and the rows. Then 4 rows, 1 for each criteria, and 3 columns, 1 for each point value range. After selecting Create Table, this is what the table should look like. I noticed that the number of rows and columns did not account for the header rows and columns, so I need to add those. To add columns or rows, I will place my cursor in one of the cells and click on the Table button again. I will then have the option to insert columns and rows as needed. Now I can begin to fill my table with the necessary information. After clicking Save and Display, this is what my table will look like. Tables in Google Docs are easy to make, but they are not easy to make accessible. The editing options of Google Docs makes the table a little hazardous to build. In a Google Doc, select Insert and Table from the top menu. This will open a grid that shows the number of columns and rows selected. Since I have my table planned, I know that I need a table that is 5 by 4. Once clicking that, the table appears. Now I need to fill in the cells. At this point in Moodle, I would be finished because Moodle builds tables with the correct structure in their coding. Google Docs does not. The only way to make a table fully accessible in Google Docs is to download the Grackle extension and tag the table through that system. Since I already have the extension downloaded, I want to run through it quickly to demonstrate how it works. If this step is too difficult or confusing, Google Docs are easily shared with our office and we can help. First, I'll select Extensions, Grackle Docs, and Launch from the menu at the top. This opens a box to the right that runs the Grackle extension. Once it has analyzed the document, it will provide recommendations. I will scroll down to the table section, and the first issue is related to tagging. This means a screen reader wouldn't understand how the data relates. By expanding this, I can get to the tagging options, which opens this dialog box. From here, I need to tell the doc where the header cells are so that a screen reader will correctly interact with the content. Since this is a simple table, this is pretty easy. I can check the boxes on the top that say Mark First Row as Header and Mark First Column as Header. And I can see the relationship that is built by doing that. I will click Update and the changes will be made structurally to the table, but not visibly. A screen reader will now be able to navigate this table in a way that helps a blind user understand how the column and row data correlate. There are a couple of additional notes or tricks to keep in mind when creating a table in Google Docs. The first was actually flagged by the Grackle checker, the use of empty cells. These should be avoided. In order to do so, there are 2 options. First, those cells can be filled with something like n/a. This acts like a 0 placeholder in math. It gives a screen reader something to interact with and communicates to a sighted user that the cell is intentionally empty. Second, color can be added to tables in Google Docs to help differentiate cells, but make sure the background color contrasts well with the foreground. Avoid using black text on a mid to dark colored background. Change the font to white to increase the visual contrast. Also ensure that color isn't the only thing differentiating the cells. A green/red dichotomy can be used to signal good and bad data, but the cells should contain numbers or other information beyond just color. This benefits all users since the color and number helps reinforce the meaning of the data to a sighted user. A screen reader does not announce fill colors, and those with color blindness may misinterpret colors. Finally, there's a reason that Google and Moodle both use simple tables as the default. Complex tables are inaccessible for a screen reader. A complex table is when cells are merged or when tables are embedded inside each other. To fix this, make multiple tables, avoid merged cells, or select the table is used for layout only option when tagging in Docs. Thank you for taking the time to learn about accessibility of tables. If you need further assistance, the Office of Online Distance Learning is available to help, and additional resources are provided in the video description.